Welcome to Loudoun Now's Sports Talk. This is a podcast that kind of exports throughout Loudoun County and beyond. We've had some famous people on, and we've got three famous people on today. Three athletic directors from three different high schools here in Loudoun County. And we're going to take a look at what high school sports looks like and some of the issues they face and some of the things that are positive. I know there's new sports coming, for example, next year. I think I'd love to talk about that. With us is Kevin Weeren. Kevin's the athletic director at Freedom High School. He was assistant AD before stepping into the current role. Kate Cassidy is the athletic director at Loudoun County High School. She attended JMU. I don't have much on you did go to college, Kevin, right?
I did, as far as you know.
Okay,
yeah.
just checking. I just want to check.
George Mason.
And Kate is the AD at Loudoun County High School, and Joni Windows is the director of athletics at Stonebridge High School. Joni was an attorney before she moved into teaching, which I can't wait to hear about that. So thanks for coming on. We appreciate it very, very much. I don't know how you're doing it, actually. I don't know how you're doing. First of all, I don't know how you're doing it in general. You know, when we talked to Derek Ferry, he was also very careful to talk about the difficulty acquiring resources and that kind of stuff. And I know you're more like one man and one woman bands. You don't have this extensive staff, and I don't know how you handle all of this stuff. Let's first ask the question about funding athletics. My understanding is, and Kate, maybe you can weigh in first on this, because your principal, Michelle Dutrell, has been on this podcast. She mentioned, my understanding is that booster clubs have become way more important than they used to be, or at least booster clubs are really very important because they help fund the things that perhaps the school district budget does not fund. Is that on track, Kate?
Sure. We're very fortunate that LCPS has started funding a lot of big ticket items for us. Maybe 4 years ago, they started covering all of our officials, which used to be on us to cover about $50,000 in official bills each year. Now, Loudoun County Public Schools has taken that over for us. Our boosters are critical for all the extras. I would say. And at my school, we all do our boosters a little differently. I'm fortunate that my boosters purchase all my uniforms, which is close to $30,000 a year. You know, every kid in my school, in a 4-year period, will replace every single uniform we have. So over the span of 4 years, you're looking at $120,000, that your boosters are spending just on uniforms for us. And that's a huge chunk of change that allows us the ability to, maybe get some extra equipment that isn't funded automatically for us.
Joni and Kevin, same in your schools. Booster clubs are really important. How do they raise money?
At Freedom, we do a couple different things. Our biggest fundraiser is a mulch sale. So we buy the mulch and wholesale prices, and it's kind of a tradition now in South Riding for people to buy their mulch from us, and we rent U-Haul trucks and we put the bags on the trucks and then we deliver them directly to people in the community. It's a great deal for them financially, and we'll put it if you've ever mulched a big yard, you know that going to getting the mulch is a big deal, and then putting it where you want it is a big deal. So we have all our teams volunteer to be the labor for that, and our booster club works extremely hard and coordinating everything, and that's probably our biggest fundraiser that we have. And then we also have sales that come in from concessions and then from spirit wear as well. So those are probably our three biggest fundraisers.
So the boosters kind of man the concession stands?
Well, they coordinate with teams to have volunteers to come in, and people do that a different way. Sometimes I'll let Joni jump in on that, on what they do at Stonebridge. But here at Freedom, we have parents volunteer. We have like a parent for basketball example. We have, if you're a varsity parent, you will work the JV game. And if you're a freshman and JV parent, you'll work during the varsity game.
Yeah, we have two amazing parents who run our concessions and are here almost every day. And they coordinate our parent volunteers. And you're right, it's mostly the parents of the sport, and they try to work the game that they're not watching their kids play, and then they're able to watch their kids play. But we also have kids come in who need NHS hours and other volunteer services. So
What kind of hours was that?
National Honor Society
Honor
hours
Society, right.
or any.
I remember having to do that. No, I just barely got out of high school, so I was never doing the National Honor Society hours. Sorry, I interrupted you, Joni. Go ahead.
That's okay. That's all right. So it really is a community effort to get the concession stand running every single game. And our two parents that handle this are extraordinary.
And when their child or children graduates, they've hopefully set up people to take over for them from coming behind.
Yes, thank gosh. My one of mine has a freshman, so I have her for a couple years. But
Right.
they always find other people to take their place. We have amazing support from our parents in Loudoun County. We are really lucky
Yeah.
to have the resources to be able to do some of the things that we do.
Well,
And the school district. Go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say, I like Joni and Kate go to conferences and meetings at the state, and I will say that we feel like we have great resources here, definitely compared to some other places in our state. As you go south, there's very small schools, and athletic directors are also assistant principals. They drive the bus, they do a lot of different things, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of things. So as much as, every once in a while we say, oh, we wish we had that, or we complain about something else, it is a very good situation compared to most people in the rest of the state.
And I would say that's why Mr. Ferry has pushed for us to host the spring VHSL state championship jubilee, because of our facilities at some of our or most of our schools are better than, some of the places we've played in the past for state championship. It's at high schools that don't have the resources, or maybe don't have a turf field or the infrastructure that we do.
Question number one is, tell us again what the Jubilee is.
Well, I'll jump back in. We're hosting this year the State Jubilee along with Champ High School. So the Jubilee is a spring event where all the sports are played in a certain place. For many years, it was down for us in Salem. They hosted it. This spring, it's going to be in Loudoun County for the 5As. And I believe for 4As, are you guys hosting too, Kate? So 4As.
Yes.
Yeah, 4As and 5As. Specifically, Freedom is hosting soccer semifinals for 5A boys on Friday. And then I think it's the 13th of June, we host boys and girls championships from the 5A classification. So we all kind of chip in and take turns hosting. And it's just a good opportunity to see all the state championships in one locality.
So for those of us who don't really understand the 5A, 4A, 3A, is that size of school?
Correct.
Okay. So the larger schools are 5A, next level are 4A.
We actually have 6A as well. Independence is 6A right now. We have a couple schools in the next cycle who will probably join Independence in 6A. And that would be Light Ridge maybe, and Briar Woods maybe.
And Independence and maybe some other schools. I think there's a lot that's going to happen in the next, couple months in determining where people go. Right now, Loudoun is made up of 4A schools that are in the Catoctin and Dulles district. The Potomac district is the 5A schools that Joni and I are in. And then Independence is in the Cedar Run district. They took our place. We were 6A last year. We kind of switched places with them. And the Cedar Run's made of, and then the northern part of Prince William. So they're the only Loudoun County school and mainly a Prince William district for 6A.
How often does this districting change? I know I live in Leesburg, so I read Loudoun Now, so I know the districting and my two grandchildren live in way out and end up going to Loudoun County High School, even though they're very close to, I don't remember which high school it is, but they're very close to one high school, but they go to another one. This districting thing, does it drive you crazy? I mean, does it change? Kate, you're shaking your head. Does it change regularly, or is it, how do you figure out what district you're in? I mean, they just...
Yeah, and it tends to be a Loudoun County phenomenon because of the amount of growth building we do here. In the rest of the state, districts are more set. Ours tend to change. Every 4 years, there's an alignment committee with the Virginia High School League to determine what district you're in. And then there's also a review after 2 years in case a new school opens or your population has ballooned way up or dropped significantly. And unfortunately, in Loudoun, every 2 years, it seems like we're bumping people in and out of
There's
our
a new high
district.
school. Yeah,
And
there's a new
that's
high school.
largely
Yeah.
because, yes, there will be an 18th high school, I believe in 2028. Is that right? Yeah.
So speaking of that, one of the things that Derek was excited about, and I'm excited about, first of all, I should have told you that I'm an old phys ed guy. I was at Springfield College for my college and taught phys ed for a while, coached high school baseball and high school football. So I'm kind of got an idea. But I'm excited about the new sports coming online. I know that flag football, girls flag football is coming on. Girls wrestling as well is coming on.
To be a standalone sport, yes. They have girls that wrestle now, but it's not a separate sport yet. So next winter, it will be a separate sport.
There's also a move for a third sport, boys varsity volleyball as well in fall.
Are there sports that are diminishing, getting smaller? Is it harder to get? I mean, does
That's a good question.
track and field, I mean, can't all be growth, right, Joan?
Well, and it's funny. I think our track and field, those numbers continue to grow because that's a sport where you can come into high school with no experience in track and field and participate and be successful and make a team and find your niche.
Yeah.
Some sports, when you get into high school, sometimes it's too late. Kids have been playing soccer since they're 4 years old. And so those teams are a little harder to make. But things like indoor track, or winter track, track, cross country, those are great sports. And our numbers have increased tremendously. We're over 100 students for our winter track.
We are too.
So I think it's great. I think it's something that kids
You are
can
also,
do.
Kevin.
We are as well. Joni and I have actually had this conversation as how much is too much, because you want to support these kids and give them this opportunity, but you're only allotted a certain number of coaches. And you need to worry about, as an athletic director, liability and supervision, and you don't want to tell coaches no, but at the same time, there's only a certain number of stipends. So, and only a certain number of people want to volunteer. But I say track is one that has continued to grow for us as well. And I would say, to answer your initial question about what's diminishing, I would say fielding 3 teams in girls basketball is something that we've had to deal with. I wouldn't say the sport's diminishing, but just the numbers. It's been very difficult to field freshman girls basketball. This is the first year
So it's freshman, JV, and varsity?
Correct. So we haven't had enough girls. Well, just this year and the previous years we have for freshman girls. And then I'd say JV softball is the other one that sometimes schools have a team and sometimes they don't. But that's a Loudoun issue. I think, when I dealt with Prince William, they never had freshman girls basketball on. So again, we are in the very rich, resourceful place, and we have most teams. But those 2 sports, I think, is where every year we're like, oh, is this school going to have that team? And but other than that, I don't see any other sports. I'll let you ladies chime in.
I think sometimes girls lacrosse, sometimes with JV, and now actually it's starting to creep into baseball in certain schools. I think it also varies widely whether you're on the eastern end of the county versus the western end versus central. And we all, as you said, there's 17 high schools and we're all very different. So I might be able to, field 3 volleyball teams very easily, whereas, another school barely gets enough girls to field 3 teams.
And you said
so
baseball
it's not
as well?
across the board a lot of times that we're all seeing this.
And baseball is one of those issues.
At least at my school, it's a sport you don't start in 9th grade. It's something that you play,
let me jump in on this.
At a very young age, and it's a slower paced game.
Mike Colangelo, who owns Stars Baseball, we had him on the podcast. It was a very interesting conversation. And he actually said out loud that he thought high school, at least baseball, and he was really talking about all sports, but baseball especially, he thought the high school teams are going to be less important than the travel teams someday in the future. He wasn't predicting a time, and he wasn't saying that in terms of importance, he was saying in terms of participation. Now, I know my grandson's been playing travel baseball since he was, I think the day he was born, his mother put him into baseball. And he's good. He's pretty good. I mean, he plays in that Stars program. it's going to be really difficult for him to make the high school team because of all of the travel baseball programs that are going to funnel into Loudoun County High School. But what you're talking about, Kate, is not necessarily at the varsity level. You're saying it's harder to get put a team together at freshman and junior, freshman, sophomore. Do you think that's because the travel
Junior
programs are so
varsity.
popular? And is that because the travel programs are so popular?
I think I'm going to take this in a different direction, actually.
Okay.
I think travel and high school sports are very different from one another, and we have to stop putting them in the same box.
Good.
High
Talk
school
to us
sports
about
is
that.
about
What's that mean?
education-based athletics. All right. Education-based athletics. I just did my 9th grade presentation last night. I said, basically, our job is to make sure your son or daughter doesn't live in your basement when they're 40 years old. We want them to be able to graduate and be able to get a job, be a productive citizen, have a good high school experience, learn all those things, responsibility, teamwork, working with people you don't enjoy all the time. You know, it's less, high school sports is less expensive. Club sports, yes, you get more exposure or you have more travel. You might have better facilities or access to more, but it also comes with a price tag. And
Well,
I'm not saying one is better than the other. They can coexist together.
Yeah.
But also I was trying to say the high school coach doesn't make more money if he has more kids on his team, but the club team sometimes does. And again, I'm not bashing club or travel.
No.
I have 5 nieces and nephews, and all 5 participated in club and travel and played high school.
But I like this
And Mr.
concept
Weeren, I
of
believe, did you coach club when you were doing basketball?
I did. And I think, Kurt, you're going to hear the same message from all athletic directors that we believe in educational-based athletics. You know,
I
one
like
thing
that
that
term.
Derek has said before is, you know, in the world, there's only 2 countries that have sports within the high school, and that's United States and Canada. So everywhere else, you know, it's not, you know, part of what they do in the academic setting. We're
Didn't know
there
that.
to enhance their experience and to you know, improve their lives and help them be productive young men and women. And we try to maintain that focus, whereas people outside of high school athletics have a very different goal. Maybe it's getting kids to the next level. And I don't think anyone disagrees with, if you're a basketball player, you're going to get recruited through AAU. If you're a baseball player, you're going to get recruited through travel, and that's fine. And some people have to make choices, especially our soccer kids. You know, they have to make choices whether they're going to play with us or whether they're going to play with these clubs. And some of these clubs say, we don't want you playing high school. So it's a tough decision for these 16-year-old kids who will never have an opportunity again to play with their friends and have those bus rides home and those great wins and
the crowds.
Yeah, and the crowds.
The excitement. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Joni, does it make it harder to recruit coaches because they have to be able to be education-based athletic coaches kind of thing? It's got to be harder, right?
Absolutely. And those 2 are smiling because they know it has been probably one of our most difficult things in the past 3 or 4 years to get coaches to want to coach for an entire season every day after school, Saturdays too. And we can't pay them as much as club coaches make.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that they have to deal with other than, you know, the sport. And it's hard for them, and they have other opportunities to make money elsewhere. I think that me personally and some other coaches or other schools in Loudoun have been very blessed to have amazing coaches who have stayed around for 20 plus years. We don't have that anymore. We don't have new coaches coming in and, you know, staying for 10, 20 years and being a legendary coach. It's just not there anymore.
Do you need a degree to be a coach?
No, you don't need a degree. And I will say, I don't know if Derek told you, but he's told us that 66% of our coaches are from outside of the building. So
Oh my goodness. I don't remember. He talked about the recruiting process
right.
of getting new
So,
coaches, but
you don't have
I don't
those
remember
days.
that percentage.
You don't have the days of the history teacher being the soccer coach or the teacher being your football coach. It still happens. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's dropped drastically. So what you have is a lot of people who are from your community, and a lot more parents than there used to be. Years ago, you would not want a parent to be involved in a high school program, but now you're asking for their help. And I'm very lucky to have several coaches who are parents, and they do a great job of separating the two, because it is difficult coaching your kid in the high school or at any level.
So you have parents that are coaching their own child.
Absolutely. I have head coaches that are parents as well, and sometimes they stay on after their kids leave, sometimes they don't. But the truth is, Kurt, when I have an opening, 90% of the time I got 1 to 2 maybe people who apply. It's great when you hire someone and then you say, hey, you've gone through the vetting process you're in. Here's 10 certifications that you need to get. The amount of things that the county does for coaches is very high. It's basically the same thing for teachers. And even if you're a volunteer, you have to go through the same process. It is a lot. And for these volunteers, you're asking them to do a lot for no money. So it is something that I always worry about, somebody coming back going, saying, oh, forget it. It's too much.
I want to ask you a couple of questions about that parent. And when I said that, I had parentheses around it. I know you've got them. I know there are parents who are either too pushy or they don't show up to pick up their kid at the end of practice kind of thing. But do you have a system for dealing with, quote, that parent, or is it individual? It's just whatever comes up. Joni, how do you do it where you are?
Well, I think it's based on an individual basis, but I will tell you, 99% of our parents are absolutely amazing and very supportive.
Is it
And
really
yes,
that high? 99%?
I would say at our school, we have amazing parents. I
Great. That's
don't
great.
have a whole
That's
lot
good to
of
hear.
issues. And to be honest with you, I was a parent whose kids played high school sports. And I get it. Like, I understand that this is their baby and they're going to do whatever they need to do to
Mm-hmm.
make the best situation for their child. So I think one of the most important things that we do is listen. And I always tell them, I'm here. I will listen to you. I can't always guarantee that I can give you what you want or what you're asking for, but your viewpoint is valuable, and we understand that. It's the nature of the game. You only have 11 spots out there to start in soccer,
And I'm
if you're
guessing
12.
in those circumstances, you don't get between the coach and the player. You don't take a side per se. In other words, you would never go to a coach and say, I want you to start this person because mommy came to yell that she wasn't getting enough playing time. So it's individual.
Kurt, we only get one applicant at a time right now. If we started dictating lineups, we'd be posting a lot more jobs.
That would be it.
For
You'd
sure.
be coaching a lot more games, wouldn't you, Kate? So let me ask about facilities. Kate, when we had Michelle on, she talked about the fact you're the oldest school in the system. You can't even find places to store stuff, and you have to be very, very creative about that. Let me ask you about playing surfaces, because as one of you mentioned the fact some of you are turfed and some of you aren't. I want to ask two questions about the facility. Are they trying to turf everything eventually? Is that the eventual goal? That's number one. And number two is does any conflict still exist about those little rubber pellets causing cancer or whatever those issues were? I do a lot of work with the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, and they build turf fields all over the country. And they did an actual study. They went out and found somebody to do a study that obviously would answer the question the way they wanted it. But how do you deal with the different kinds of turf, and is that issue of artificial turf causing sickness real still?
So to answer the first part of your question, every single LCPS high school has at least one turf stadium field. None of us on this podcast have a second turf stadium field. First world problems, but some of our schools do have two turf fields, and that makes obviously practice times easier and access,
Right.
for, teams easier. But there is we have something called a CIP, like capital improvement plans. There is a capital improvement plan to eventually have every school have at least two turf fields. I would love to be first on that list. But we will see. how that plays out. But yeah, there is in terms of pellets and stuff like that, we don't all have the same company that installed our turf fields, and I think that is because we're continually looking at, who has the best product and the science behind that. I think Joni and I had our turf replaced at the same time, 2 years. I think we're going on 2 or 3 years. Our turfs have to be replaced at once every 10 years. So Kevin, are you coming up on your replacement? He might be
You
muted
look at my
because of
list
that.
because Derek gives us a list. So I am supposed to have field replacement done in 2028 is my time, and then 2029 I'm supposed to get a second turf field with lights. So we
And
have
are most of these the football stadium?
football stadium will get redone, and then we'll have another, they call it turf 2 for practices, which is a big deal because all weather you can get out there, and right now we don't have enough space, so we do practice. Again, first world problems. A lot of schools in the southern part of the state don't have turf at all, much less a second turf, so we're pretty lucky. But yeah, I've got a couple years.
Are you responsible for your own maintenance?
And county might be in a unique situation.
We do get some help from the county. They do a couple things for us to take care of it. They also have given us a groomer that helps maintain the field. So I try to do our main stadium field a couple times a year to just make sure it brings. There's two things. There's two things that you put on the back of your vehicle. It kind of cleans everything up. A sweeper. And it gets all the materials off it. And then the second one, the groomer kind of brings the rubber up to the top so it's not falling down. So we do those things, but the county does help us with actually cleaning it and doing some grooming as well. Again, we're very lucky, but I do some work on it.
And Kate and I don't know, Kevin, if you have this, but when we got our fields replaced, they have a program where they come and they do testing on the field every month. And we get a report on how the field is faring. So if pellets need to be added or we need to have it cleaned, we have a company that comes in and will do a deep clean. But yeah, we do the grooming, and we do it supposedly after a certain number of usage hours on the field. Technology is amazing because it'll tell us where there are weak spots or spots that need to be attended to. So we've been very lucky with that.
What would you like to say to the public in Loudoun County about high school sports? One of the things, I love this education-based athletics, which you've probably been using for years and years. It's probably the way you describe it. It's the kind of thing that Loudoun now can help with. I love the fact, Kate, that the way you described that there shouldn't be conflict between travel and high school, that they are two separate kinds of operations. Is there any other major issue, a major question, or major something that you would like the public to know about vis-a-vis high school athletics in Loudoun County?
I think the big thing is that we're here for the kids to grow, not just athletically, but emotionally and socially. And that is our goal. We want to give our student athletes the best experience in high school that we possibly can. And we try to do that with the best coaches, the best community members that help. I mean, we couldn't do it without members of the community stepping in and helping. So that's our job. And the well-being of our student athlete is the most important thing. Them succeeding either in this level or the next level is amazing. And it's, something that we strive for, but really it's the well-being of our student athlete.
Kevin?
I would like to, from my perspective, and I think for Joni and Kate as well, we are human. We do have experiences in athletics. Obviously, we're very passionate, but we're also people who want to just help kids when it comes down to it. And the best part of my job is being with kids. Snow days bring a lot of challenges in terms of scheduling and calendars and a little bit of stress there. But I think what I missed the most was just seeing kids. We all enjoy kids. It's the best part of my day when I see kids and I'm around them. That's why I like this job. It's not to schedule games. So that, I would say when parents and, families have issues, just to come talk to us and to keep us a part of the equation. And I think communication's huge. I personally don't like email a whole lot. I'm a in-person guy or on the phone guy. So just, we're here to help kids. We're just like anyone else, and we're not the enemy. Although sometimes I honestly feels like we are, because truthfully, parents nowadays are spending so much, and we talked about it previously, on these kids, that with that comes a level of expectation by the kids
Expectation.
and sometimes by the parents. And we get that. We understand you've paid a lot of money and you've put a lot of time and energy into it. You have to if you want your kid to be a good athlete. We all went through it. So we're human too, and we get that part of it, and just communication, because things have changed. We cannot use the same norms and philosophies we had that were given us when we were growing up. It's just very different. We have to respect kids' time. We have to plan ahead and respect parents' time, because they're, after school driving kids everywhere. I would just, in closing, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but communication is real important for us.
Kate, final thought?
And just to piggyback on Kevin, the last thing I would say is to stress, and it's something we tried to stress last night, is balance. So many of our kids are overscheduled now, where they're taking multiple AP or DE classes. They are playing a sport. They're doing a club. They're trying to work. And then, they're overscheduled and stressed out. So if your kid's not a fantastic student in science, maybe they shouldn't take AP science. And sometimes you do have to make tough choices to prioritize. High school goes very fast. It's a fast 4 years. And regardless of whether it's obviously rural, our main focus is sports. We just want kids to get involved in something at the high school level. Try a new sport, but if you're not an athlete, try drama, try band, do something.
Yeah.
And the vast majority, I would say, we are in athletics either because we had a very good experience in athletics with our coaches, or we had a very bad experience with our coaches growing up.
And you want to make it, right?
We're trying to make sure kids have that good experience. Yeah.
We had the Baltimore Oriole Hall of Famer Mike Bordick on the podcast last. And what Mike talked about was the absolute necessity for a young person to find something. He thinks it should be sports. I think he used some expression like it should be dang near be mandatory or something like that. But he's saying the same thing, Kate, that you just said. All three of you said. We just want our young people to get more out of their life than just going to school and going home. Let me close with this. This is an old man speaking to the three of you. I left coaching and teaching, and I was the director of Parks and Recreation for the fifth biggest town in New York State at the point that I left. And if I could go back and be a teacher and a coach and a rec director again, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I couldn't feed my family, but, well, that's what food stamps are for. I would go back and do it in a heartbeat. So don't give up on what you're doing right now. What you're doing is essential to the lives of our kids here in Loudoun County. And on behalf of Loudoun Now, for sure, and I think I speak for the whole county, we say thank you to you. Thank you for all you're doing for these kids. And know that Loudoun Now is your partner in this, and we look forward to continuing to work with the athletic programs throughout the county of Loudoun in the future. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
So this is Kurt Ashman signing off, saying
much.
thanks. Oh, thanks for being on. Okay. Thanks for being part of this, and keep swinging.